One of the men glanced their way. He was older, maybe late 50s or early 60s. His hair was mostly gray, cut close. His name tag read, H. Koba. Mara's heart skipped. That was him. Beside her, Eli murmured, "You okay?" "That's Hiroshi Koba," she whispered. "The Koba." Eli followed her gaze. "You wrote about his building, right?" "Yeah." She looked away quickly before Koba could catch her staring. "Several, actually." "Then this is poetic," Eli said softly. "Student meets master." "More like mosquito meets airplane," Mara muttered. The elevator chimed. A staff member stepped out and bowed slightly. "Koba plus partner San," he called gently. The black-suited group stood, collected. They moved like a single organism. Mara's eyes tracked them as they entered the conference room. Eli nudged her. "We can't see them as gods, Mara." "They're not," she said. "They're just the benchmark. And we're here to redraw the benchmark." He smiled. "Remember that." They were called in an hour later. Emergent Studio, Manila, announced their handler in careful English. Mara took a breath that felt like inhaling a whole ocean and stepped into the room. The conference space was large but sparse, dominated by a long table. Around it sat members of the Skybridge Consortium, Japanese officials, Filipino government representatives, a couple of European-looking advisors, and various engineers and planners. There were video screens showing remote participants, including some from Manila. At the center of the long side sat a younger man with sharp, intelligent eyes and a pristine navy suit. This, Mara knew from the briefing, was Kenji Tokahashi, the committee chair, a rising star in Tokyo's development circle, famous for his ruthless attention to detail. To his right, in a neat row, sat the Japanese firm principals. Among them, Hiroshi Koba. Mara tried not to look at him as they took their place near the projector screen. The emergent team wasn't uniformed, exactly, but they coordinated, all in crisp white shirts, dark pants, no ties. They looked like a family trying their best at a formal event. Eli started. "Good morning," he said in clear, steady English. "We are Emergent Studio, an architecture and urban design practice based in Manila. Thank you for inviting us to share our vision for Skybridge." The room quieted. Laptops were angled, pens poised. Mara's slides flashed up, the title, their logo, then a hand-drawn sketch of Manila Bay and Tokyo Bay connected by a faint curve. "We approached this project," Eli continued, "not just as a building, but as a relationship. Between Manila and Tokyo. Between water and earth. Between movement and stability. Between what survives and what thrives." He glanced at Mara. Right on cue. She stepped forward, heart hammering. "In our cities," she began, "disaster is not an abstract word. It is lived experience." Images appeared, flooded streets in Manila, people wading waist-deep, children laughing despite the water. Then, a cut to Tokyo after an earthquake, cracked pavements, shaken residents in blankets. In both Manila and Tokyo, people have learned to live with constant risk. But they respond differently. She spoke quickly but clearly, her rhythm steadying as she sank into the narrative she knew by heart. In Tokyo, resilience has been codified into engineering perfection. Base isolation, sacrificial structures, tuned mass dampers. In Manila, resilience has been improvised, modular rebuilding, informal verticality, community redundancy of resources. She showed photos of improvised structures along Estero de San Miguel, then an overlay of diagrams mapping load paths, redundancy, adaptability. The visuals reframed what might have been seen as slums into systems. "Our proposal," she said, "learns from both." Now the tower models appeared, two slender, intricate forms rendered in white and gold, one set against a hazy Manila sunset, the other against Tokyo's clean skyline. "This is Kambal Tower," Mara said. "The twins." She walked them through the concept, a shared structural lattice of diagonals hugging both buildings, designed to flex and distribute seismic loads. Within this exoskeleton, modular pods could be rearranged, expanded, or replaced over time without compromising the whole. In Manila, she said, the pods are exuberant, community gardens, public plazas, markets in the sky. Shading devices echo woven bannick patterns, allowing air and sunlight to pass. Water catchment and grey-water recycling systems weave through like veins. She flipped to a slide showing a middle floor, a multi-level public terrace with native trees, small food stalls, and a playground, all protected but open to the bay breeze. In Tokyo, she continued, the pods are restrained but equally flexible. The public decks are meditative, quiet gardens, viewing platforms, multipurpose halls that can transform into emergency shelters in minutes. The same structural code allows for different spatial expressions. Jonah took over, detailing seismic performance, wind analysis, and energy modeling. He spoke of tuned mass dampers hidden within sky gardens, of base isolation systems working in tandem with the flexible lattice, of how failure in one module would never mean failure of the whole. When the last slide faded to white, the room stayed quiet. Mara's pulse roared in her ears. She became suddenly hyper-aware of everything: the faint hum of the projector cooling, the soft scratch of a pen somewhere, the distant murmur of traffic far below. Kenji Tokahashi leaned back slightly in his chair. "Thank you," he said. "That was comprehensive. That was neither good nor bad. Just precise. Japanese neutral." Hands went up around the table. Questions followed, sharp ones. What is the long-term maintenance cost of modular replacement? How do you prevent visual chaos from becoming architectural noise? How does this system age in 50 years? Jonah answered the technical ones. Eli addressed governance and phasing. Mara fielded the cultural questions, her voice steadier now, fueled by something deeper than nerves. Then Hiroshi Koba spoke. His English was smooth, lightly accented. "Your presentation is impressive," he said. "But I must ask directly, this level of seismic integration combined with flexible modularity is extremely difficult. Japanese firms have decades of research behind such systems." He paused, eyes steady on Mara. "Why do you believe a Filipino firm can execute this at the necessary level?" The question landed hard. The words weren't openly cruel. But the implication was unmistakable. A few heads turned toward Mara. Her first instinct was anger. Her second was fear. Her third, after a breath, was honesty. She stepped forward again. "Sir," she said, meeting his gaze, "we don't believe Filipinos can do this." There was a ripple of surprise. She continued before anyone could interrupt. "We believe strong communities can do this. We believe architecture isn't just about who has the most patents, but who has lived closest to the edge of failure and learned how to respond." She gestured to the Manila images still resting in the corner of the screen. "In my city, when systems fail, people don't wait for perfection. They adapt. They reinforce. They rebuild smarter every time. That knowledge isn't written in textbooks. But it's real. And when you combine that lived intelligence with rigorous engineering, yes, including the methods Japan has perfected, you get something stronger than either alone." She looked at Koba now, not with defiance, but with respect. "We didn't come here to compete with Japanese architecture. We came to collaborate with it, by bringing something different to the table." The room was completely silent. Koba studied her for a long moment. Then, almost imperceptibly, he smiled. "Thank you," he said quietly. "That is all." The session ended. Outside, in the corridor, Mara's legs finally gave out. She leaned against the wall and laughed shakily. "I thought I was going to pass out," Lisa said. "You didn't," Eli replied. "You nailed it." "Did I?" Mara asked. Eli looked back through the glass wall of the conference room, where the judges were already in discussion. "You told the truth," he said. "That's all we had." The announcement came 3 weeks later. Back in Manila, rain streaked down the studio windows as Mara refreshed her email for the 10th time that hour. Then it arrived. Skybridge Consortium, final selection. Her breath caught. She opened it. After extensive deliberation, her eyes jumped. Has selected Emergent Studio as lead conceptual architect. For a split second, everything froze. Then the room exploded. Chairs scraped, someone screamed, coffee spilled, and Eli actually sat down hard on the floor like his knees had betrayed him. Mara stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. They'd chosen them. A Filipino firm. Against the giants. Later that day, news articles began circulating. One headline stood out, shared and reshared across social media. Japanese architects initially doubted Filipino-led design, final winner proved them wrong. Mara closed her laptop and leaned back, exhausted and glowing all at once. Outside, the rain eased. Manila breathed. She thought of Tokyo. Of bamboo bending in strong wind. Of structures that survived not by refusing to move, but by knowing how. And she smiled. Because they hadn't just won a project. They changed what people believed Filipinos could build.